Welcome everyone to another Pixelated review. I'm your host, Pixelated Jordan. So today we are doing another 3 indie books. First one we will start with today is Siege. Siege. And Siege is sci-fi, just action-packed and just gory as anything I have ever witnessed in a book thus far. So yeah, that's Siege right there. Then we have the Descendants of the Guardians. Now it's marketed as a fantasy, but it's more superhero, but we'll get into that later. Then lastly on our list is A House of Midnight. And that one is a fantasy story, and it takes place in their own world and has its own magic and weird creatures, as you could tell from the cover. So, we have plenty to get through, and I'm excited for this one. So, without further ado, let's start the review. Siege by Robert DeSimone Jr. So, we are in this universe where this military group in particular is under siege by these kind of robotic-like creatures, and I do mean that in a weird way. Yes, it is a robotic-like creatures, and one of the things I really liked about this story was just how brutal it gets, like horrifyingly brutal, like slasher we're talking here, how they're dismembered and stuff in this one. A lot of the people that you know and love in this one, it's pretty brutal. And there is a good nice little characters for here and there, but most of them I do feel are a little bit bland. But I did enjoy when the action did happen. There was a little murder mystery kind of hinted in here, but that was kind of quickly solved as well. So, but other than that though, it really was just a violent sci-fi siege of war that it was a lot of fun. It's a really short book, by the way, and that's something to take note right there. So a lot of these characters may not got the biggest development ever, but they did get a lot of, action scenes. They get a lot of scenes with just them just surviving. It is really cool, and it does serve the purpose, of the story. It says Siege, so can't really argue that. So with that being said, I'm gonna give Siege a rating of, check it out, Descendants of the Guardians by J. Brown. There's a lot to this book, and I mean a lot. It's about 700 pages, and the biggest thing about this book is that basically it's like 4 books in one, but it's like really, really super fast paced for a lot of this stuff. Like there's the beginning part with the 3 Guardians, and it's just I want to explain it all, but it's so much to explain. But basically, the premise is these are kids who are just like who are sent to save the world, basically descendants of the Guardians, and they get the powers of these previous Guardians to fight the guy named King Kalu. I think that's how you say his name, Kaluz, something like that. And it's classified as a fantasy, but I argue this. It's more of a superhero, more compared to Power Rangers than anything else. Now, I love Power Rangers, so this is not a bad thing for me, so I am A-okay with this. So, anyway, as I was saying, the first book really just starts out with 3 Guardians, the initial start, I guess you say, with 3 Guardians. You got a second one, which introduced 1 more, and then you got basically a new villain in that little arc. And then after that, you have 7 villains in this one arc with 7 sins. And then you got Kalu's final climax in that one. Basically, there's 4 books in this book. But it's super fast paced that even though, it's super fast paced. It's you could have trimmed down a whole lot. And that's the problem with this one right here. But there's also a whole lot that's in here too. And a lot of key characters do get their moments to kind of, shine in their own way in these 4 parts here. I just feel like maybe, probably should have gotten separate all these books into 4 separate things so each character can get even more expansive and you didn't have to be so fast paced about it. But for the content there, for how much it's asking for, it's you know what? This isn't a bad price. I just wish it was just paced better, and I wish there was more character development and less of that fast, very, 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 very fast pace. And trust me, when I say very fast pace, I mean it. It's super fast. So, other than that, I did enjoy the fun that was here. The characters are colorful and just wacky teenagers, which is really cool, which is something I thought was like, this is kind of fun. It does bring out the wild imagination as a kid. If you ever wrote your first book, it is something that I really find to enjoy. So, with that being said, I give Descendants of the Guardians a rating of, check it out, A House of Midnight by Hailey S. Dawns. Last book on our list here is a fantasy story. It almost feels like it could be a romance, but it's not. It really does bring out this not little girl, main character who's a girl. She's basically like, how do you describe her? She's special in her own way, but not like that Mary Sue kind of way. But she goes to discover this world in a place called A House of Midnight, and it's really is fun. Like, there's just like so many like creatures. Like, one of the things I love about fantasy, when an author does it, is create a bunch of new or just fantastical creatures that just out of this world, and I love it. There's so much of that in this book, and I actually really like it a lot. The magic system is pretty cool. I actually do like it a lot. Our main character has magic, but she doesn't really use it too much. It's more like her intuition that she comes up with in certain situations, which is really cool. She uses more brain over bronze, which, you know what? I mean, hey, kudos to you. I'll probably use bronze if I had magic, but you know what? That's something really good to think about. And the ending is something I really thought about a lot, which I didn't think was going to happen, especially for a first book. Usually you want the most epic, triumphant, yeah, hurrah at the end, but it actually was not. And that's something I got to say, that's got me interested to see how it would continue after the way it ended. So that is something to think about. The only thing I may not personally like is more of its slow pacing. Like, I may not like super slow paced books, but this one was kind of slow where I kind of got bored. But I think that's more of a personal taste than it is the book's fault. So, with that being said, for a rating of A House of Midnight, I give it a rating of, check it out. Overall, these three books have unique takes on what they want to tell. Siege is just this brutal battle of just trying to survive. Descendants of the Guardians is a fun story, superhero story I would call it. And it's just its unique take on this kind of whole like Power Ranger genre of sorts. And it is pretty fun. I actually did like that one a lot. A House of Midnight is unique fantasy that it's hard for me to classify where I've read something similar, but I can't say I've read anything similar to A House of Midnight. It's that unique, and I really did enjoy that one. So, I guess let's put it in a tier list. I guess you would say what I would rate higher, or 3, 2, and then 1. There we go. Yeah. So, for number 3, we give it to Siege. Siege is still good, still great. Just not as much content as I wish we had, but it still was a lot of fun. Number 2, Descendants of the Guardian. This is too much content. Very fast paced. Wish it would just kept itself in a nice little contained story arcs for each and every story. But that's okay. Still had a lot of fun with this. And number 1, A House of Midnight. For a unique take of fantasy, and it's a great way of how the characters are and the magic system, and just the ending of the book, ending where I did not know it could end. So, yeah, and there we go, guys. That is today's video with 3 indie books. There you guys go. All right, then. Well, I want to thank you guys all for watching, and I hope you all have a great day. I want to thank you guys all for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you want more books, I have plenty more in a playlist. And if you want to see where you can get all 3 of these books, I will link them down below. Also, did you know I too am an indie author? That's right. I have a YA paranormal adventure with Ghost. If you're interested, I'll have that linked down below as well. And as always, I hope you all have a great day, and thank you for watching the video.